Yeah, I don't know if anyone's been following Candace Owens with her yeah, anti-Jew stuff, but yeah, she brought up about the Frankists, and I'd never heard of the Frankists. And then it's kind of funny that she's so anti-Jew because Dennis Prager started her, Jew, and Ben Shapiro employed her for ages, Jewish. She's probably got more reason to be thankful for Jews than anybody, but also they still respect each other. This letter, I'll put this link in the description to watch the whole letter that he wrote. Um, because I think that's why as well no one's really attacking Candace Owens, because people do like her still, even if they disagree with what she's saying. And this letter is very respectful, but she brings up the Frankists, and even when he explained it, it's still a crazy story. Um, and I've got a documentary on the Frankists to do after this, but this is kind of where I started getting it. And that Candace Owens says the Frankists was behind the Zionist movement. I watched like the first minute of a conspiracy documentary, and it kind of said it's true, but then Dennis Prager in this says it's not true. But anyway, yeah, watch this.
Number 1. Israel was founded by Frankists masquerading as Jews. That's what she says. You say the nation of Israel was established by some Frankists. I taught Jewish history at Brooklyn College and never heard or read such a thing. And even if there were any truth to it, it in no way explains the founding of Israel. For 2,000 years, as part of daily ritual prayers, Jews prayed 3 times a day to be able to return to their homeland, Israel. That, plus the world witnessing what happens when Jews have no homeland, centuries of pogroms, massacres and expulsions, which inspired Theodor Herzl to organize the Jews' return to Israel, Zionism in the late 19th century, culminating in the Holocaust, is what led to the re-establishment of the Jewish state.
Yeah, you see, there's arguments around that as well that I've seen. That are, there's a woman. I think she's a journalist, but she says actually there's kind of some truth to that. That the Holocaust wasn't the thing. But yeah. Oh, of course.
That Herzl came from the same general region as did Jacob Frank, who predated Herzl by about 150 years, a region with millions of Jews who were not Frankists, and therefore must have been a Frankist, seemed like a pretty big leap. 2. Alleged Frankists, who were in fact ethnic Jews, were responsible for missing and presumably murdered Christian children
This is
around
crazy.
Passover time. You say Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, then they would find bodies across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. They weren't Jews, okay? It was the Frankists. And just as Leo Frank killed Mary Fagan on Passover back in 1913 or 1914, it was done on Passover for a reason. The Frankist cult, which masquerades behind Jews, still participates in this bleep to this day. Why would you want, as a small nation that is the size of New Jersey, the paedophiles to flee there? Therefore, Israel was founded to be a haven for pedophiles, who furthermore engage in slaughtering Christians as part of a satanic ritual. That is as close to a medieval libel of Jews.
Yeah, in the first little bit of the Frankists, they're basically, because it kind of, this is the thing, this is where I kind of went, well, hold on. So there was Jewish people, because he kind of confirmed what she said before by saying they are Jews, Frankists masquerading as Jews. Now, in the little bit that I watched the documentary, basically they're like satanic Jews, almost. They are Jewish, though. That's the thing. They are. It's a Jewish, because it's the satanic version of Jewish. Basically, they're like, yeah, they're not Jewish. It's not a Jewish. It's in fact, it's the complete opposite to um to the Jewish faith, like, which is kind of what Satanism is to Christianity. Like, it's crazy. The guy that invented Frankists thought that you do everything against God, like sleeping around, doing weird, kinky sex shit, drugs, all the stuff that God says is wrong. If you do that, you get nearer to God, which is a crazy thing. But yeah, that's what it is. So there is. Anyway, let's carry on.
As butchers of Christian children to use their blood for baking Passover matzah, as I've heard in my lifetime. You mock the idea that this is
Now go back. You hear that? This is what I mean. This actually is a group, no, that's what I'm saying. He does explain it that it's not Jewish people, fair dues. It's not Jewish people just going out there doing it, and there's nothing in their religion that says do it. But there is actually a group doing.
that is as close to a medieval libel of Jews as butchers of Christian children to use their blood for baking Passover matzah, as I've heard in my lifetime. You mock the idea that this is another blood libel, but that is what it is. And given how many Jews were massacred, often tortured to death, because of it, Jews have good reason to loathe it. You cite and deem as credible the two modern instances of the blood libel against Jews. Most people don't know. They think that the nation of Israel, she says, most people don't know. They think the nation of Israel was established because of World War II. No, there was a lot of going on up to that. Learn about the Damascus affair of 1840. Learn about what happened to Esther Solimosi in Austria in 1880. There are Christians who kept on going missing on holidays, and the entire Christian world rose up and began publicizing, trying to point to what they believed to be a satanic cult. Of course, all of that's been erased. Most Christians don't know this. Candace continues. In 1840 in Damascus, Syrian Jews were charged with butchering Capuchin Friar Thomas, an Italian monk living in Damascus. The Capuchins in Damascus spread the charge, which resulted in 63 Jewish children being abducted from their families to force the families to divulge the location of the friar's blood. And a Jewish barber named Solomon Negrin was arbitrarily arrested and tortured until a confession was extorted from him. Under torture, Negrin said that 7 Jews killed the monk in the house of David Harari. The 7 men were subsequently arrested and also tortured. 2 of them died under torture. The other blood libel you cite as credible took place in Austria-Hungary in 1882. Jews were accused of murdering and beheading a 14-year-old Catholic girl named Esther Solimosi. A girl's body was found on the bank of the Tisza River, but though the body was dressed in Esther's clothes, it was not Esther, and if it was, it proved the charges to be libelous. There was no injury to her neck. Nevertheless, members of the local Jewish community were accused of having killed Esther for ritual purposes, as it happened right before Passover. Jews, according to the centuries-old charge, used Christians' blood to bake matzah, the unleavened Passover bread. Eventually, after 15 months of investigation, the Hungarian highest court, in a unanimous verdict, acquitted of all the accused. You repeat this libel of anti-Christian crimes committed by...
But this is the thing as well, like, you know, with these secret societies, that they do always get acquitted. Always. Like, because a court acquits and things, it doesn't mean the thing isn't true. It's just that they couldn't prove it, or obviously there's more sway. This is what I had a problem with this thing. It's like, and with there is a real pushback on anything that you say to Jew, and it seems like you're going through and discrediting everything. But discrediting it by saying that it got acquitted in court, which doesn't really change the facts of what it is. But also, he goes on to say something else as well, and yeah.
In another podcast. There's a lot behind my refusal, my absolute refusal to bend the knee to Israel, she says, as many American politicians have done. There's too much I've learned about their, Israel, Jews, history, about what was done to Christians, which they're alleging now is blood libel. That none of that's real. It didn't happen. Well, Candace, it didn't happen, and repeating it does terrible harm. It is painful for me to know that the Candace I have known would say such things. 3. She says Israel is not our ally. You say you are over the idea that Israel is our ally.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, because the Frankists is what I'm interested in. Because, yeah, I didn't think it... I mean, like, you can't say that they did it, but like I say, within 2 minutes of watching a documentary, I'm going to do the documentary. Like, to say that they're... Like, it's like to say that there aren't satanic cults, and that satanic cults don't influence the thing. I don't know why saying that there's a Jewish alternative to it would be like, yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I actually think, because don't get me wrong, a lot of what I've been watching lately is just people laughing at Candice Owens and people just making fun of her because some of her things she says is just crazy, and it's just crazy. But the Frankie's thing, and when he explained it, and also then as well, he said something that she says Israel is a paedophile haven for paedophiles, and he says the reason why Israel won't hand over Jewish paedophiles is because people have been handed over throughout history, or Jews have been handed over for trumped up charge. It's like that doesn't mean shit. It's like because people had trumped up charges brought against them and then they was taken and kidnapped or whatever. It doesn't mean the fact that if you know that someone is a paedophile, why you wouldn't hand them over to an authority. That was surprising as well. I recommend go and watch the whole thing because it's all very respectful. He makes a lot of great points, and um, kind of, yeah. But yeah, definitely we're doing more on the Frankists because I can understand why someone like people like Dennis Prager and these people, they don't have the conspiracy knowledge really to know that these groups do exist and they get covered up. It's like there's endless cases of it. And this is what I mean. Just because you're saying it's a Jewish group, although people deny the whole satanic thing too, like people won't have that people do satanic rituals. So it is so far fetched for people to believe. But I kind of think actually Candice might be onto something with that. That's the only real point that she's really put my interest, because some of the things she says is hilarious, and how she just doxes everyone as well. She loves just putting people's details out there, and then they all get like harassed and shit. There's one matey I recommend, Jay Witt. He just makes me die watching her. He's like, this is crazy. But yeah, yeah, I'll link the whole letter. I'll recommend people go and watch it. But yeah, that's the video. Sweet.